There is one called Connor among them.
Aye.
One of my most favorite villains of all time is the Kurgan. He is sinister, brutal, and absolutely crazy. All the right ingredients for a perfect antagonist. If you ask me, the success of Highlander depended a lot on the iconic Kurgan. The movies and TV shows that followed did not reach the heights of success Highlander did because their villains looked dull in comparison. It is perhaps Clancy Brown's best role to date. While the movie left fans wanting for more, a 2-issue comic book series has now been released that looks into the dark origins of the villain that was ignored till now in the franchise. So let's get started.
Nice to see you, Kurgan. Who cuts your hair?
We are one. For those of you not familiar with the Highlander lore, let me summarize it to you real quick. It is about a group of immortals who have to fight each other for eternity or till only one of them remains. The remaining one gets the essence of all the immortals before him, their knowledge, their experiences, their skills, and their memories. He also gets the gift, mortality. The franchise conveniently forgot this bit to make more movies though. The comic book begins at the very moment Connor MacLeod beheads his nemesis, the Kurgan, to become the last of the immortals and Kurgan's essence enter his body. MacLeod feels Kurgan's soul like a shapeless black mass full of hatred, but Kurgan speaks to him through his soul and begins revealing his tragic past. He was born sometime before 904 BCE in the Russian steppes and was brought up by a woman who adopted him. One day, their settlement flooded and Kurgan, who could not have been older than 4 or 5, was separated from her. The flood carried him far and deposited him on a riverbank. There, covered in mud, he was discovered by a couple, Grigg and Ura, who belonged to the Kurgan, a group of savage people known for their cruelty. Despite Grigg's dislike for the boy, Ura brought him home. The boy introduced himself as Vtor, but Grigg refused to call him anything other than boy. Grigg thought Vtor was weak and shifty, so he worked him to the bone and insulted him regularly. One day, Vtor had had enough and told Grigg that he was not weak. Grigg strangely seemed delighted to hear it. He told him that he would give him a chance to prove his bravery and mounted his horse. Ura tried to stop them and begged Grigg not to do what he was doing. But Grigg, who had developed an entire conflict with someone whose milk teeth were yet to fall off, did not stop. Grigg and Vtor rode night and day till they reached a well surrounded by men hooting and hollering. But what Vtor saw shocked him. He saw that the well had a boy fighting with a wild hound that mercilessly killed him. Realizing he was next, Vtor apologized to Grigg, but nothing until this point has shown that Grigg has his heart or brain in the right place. He pushed him into the well, claiming he was tired of Vitor's mouth, face, and him eating up all their food. The men cheered, begging the hound to kill Vtor, and Vtor grabbed the only weapons available for him, a large rock and a thick wooden stick. As the hound lunged at him, he took its eye out with his rock. He shot a look full of anger and hatred at Grigg, which made all the men tease that Grigg better hope Vtor dies in the well or he's gonna take out Grigg next. Sure enough, Vtor kills the dog by pushing him into the fire burning close by. The men cheer for him and lift him out of the well. After showering him with compliments, they send him and Grigg on their way. Most of the journey back is silent, and when they come across a river, they stop. Vtor asks if they are gonna do that again, but Grigg picks up a rock and smashes his skull in. Vtor wakes up next morning and follows a trail of smoke to find Grigg sleeping next to a small fire. Vtor picks up a burning piece of coal using a branch and drops it into Grigg's open mouth. He then takes his horse back home to Ura and tells her that Grigg was killed by a bear. Vtor stayed with Ura till he was 12 and then joined a band of thieves in the Mediterranean. But this time, he had adopted the name of his people and was called the Kurgan. One day, tired of keeping guard for the thieves, Kurgan decided to join in on the action. He was also tired of getting the leftovers and wanted a real share of the bounty. This led to a conflict and Kurgan began fighting the thieves mid-robbery. They stabbed him and left him for dead. Who we are. As luck would have it, the group of foreign travelers they targeted had Saif al-Rashid, an immortal who immediately recognized one of his own kind. He took Kurgan with him to Negev, Israel, and showed him the riches he had accumulated as an immortal. He revealed who Kurgan really was, an immortal who could only be killed by a beheading. He laid the rules down for Kurgan. The immortals fight each other till only one stand, but they must fight with honor, one-on-one, and never on holy ground. Seasons pass, and Kurgan becomes a skilled fighter under the mentorship of Zaif. As his last lesson, Zaif shows Kurgan what will happen when an immortal is dead by killing one in front of him. He concludes his lesson with one piece of advice that showing mercy will be its own punishment. He asks him to sleep as tomorrow he will set out as an immortal and pave his own path. Though Zaif had stressed on honor in his lessons, looks like the lesson evaded his pupil as Kurgan beheads Zaif in his sleep the very night. Zaif's men attack him, but Kurgan had realized by now that he was born to conquer. So he killed them all like flies and set out to be the one. The path of the immortal. From then on, Kurgan sought out immortals and beheaded them without mercy. In 615 BCE Mesopotamia, he was approached by the Horsemen, an alliance of the immortals Kronos, Caspian and Silas. They invite him to join their alliance, and when he refuses, all three of them attack him. Kurgan reminds them of the rules that it should be one-on-one, but the Horsemen play by their own rules. Funny that Kurgan mentions honor now, but had no problem killing his master in his sleep. The Horsemen stick a sword in his chest, kick him to their heart's content, and leave after telling him that their paths will cross again one day, and they won't be so merciful then. For years, Kurgan continues his conquest through India, Rome and Greece, getting stronger with each victory. His path crosses with Ramirez too, but Ramirez proves too clever to be defeated so easily. For some years, he took a break from the immortal quest and worked for mortal rulers who were great leaders. His loyalty was only to himself though, and he would switch sides whenever he felt like it. Eventually, he began to feel that the mortal wars were too petty and decided to return to the game. But before that, he wanted a really good blade, something that would last forever, just like the sword of Ramirez. In 1269 CE, he traveled to England and asked Lord John Southern to make him a blade. While there, his eyes fell on John's daughter Elizabeth, and he complimented John's feathers. This irritated John. He told Kurgan that he would get his sword after the first snowfall, but if he dared harm his family, he would pay for it. The Kurgan returned when the first snowfall occurred, and when John said it would take 3 more days, he demanded to stay in John's house. John was reluctant but let him occupy the guest chambers. It was that night he first saw Connor MacLeod in his dreams, threatening to kill him. The dream woke him up with a startle. As he saw John finishing up with his sword, he remembered the threat and grew angry. He was the Kurgan, who stood above normal men, and this blacksmith had tried to threaten him? As revenge, he entered Elizabeth's room. He was caught in surprise as she was bathing. After having his way with her, he strangled her to death. When John and his wife rushed to her aid after hearing her scream, the Kurgan killed John and abused his wife. Finding MacLeod, the Kurgan got what he came for, an exquisite weapon like no other. His first target was Ramirez in 1275 CE, Babylon. Kurgan demands to know about the Kurgan, but Ramirez has no idea what he's talking about. Ever the rage baiter, he says he wishes he knew, as just saying MacLeod's name made Kurgan's face shrivel up in fear. Kurgan declared he feared no man, and kicked Ramirez into the water body below, and the flowing water took him away. In 1320 CE, Florence, Italy, Kurgan found a distraction that made him forget about MacLeod. The distraction was a beautiful woman with scars all over her body from a jealous lover who wanted all for herself. The woman let Kurgan conquer her, and the lovers spent some blissful months together until he saw MacLeod again in his nightmare, holding his head. So Kurgan sought Ramirez again and found him in 1380 CE, China. Kurgan almost killed Ramirez then, but Chinese soldiers rushed to his aid and Ramirez eluded death once again. In 1536 CE, Kurgan sends MacLeod and rode all the way to Scotland, where the Fraser clan was rallying its troops to take down the MacLeod clan. He offered his services to them, promising to aid them in battle if they'll let him take Connor. They agreed, and the day finally came when Kurgan came face to face with Connor. He struck his stomach with his sword and raised it once more to behead him, but the MacLeod clansmen rushed to his aid, and Kurgan was forced to wait some more years. And then, you know what happens in the movies. Connor is shocked to learn all this as he realizes that Kurgan had spent centuries being afraid of Connor. As a thought rings in his mind, Kurgan answers from within that he fears no man. Brenda sees her husband worried and asks him what happened. Connor shares that knowing Kurgan feared him makes him fear himself, but Brenda reassures him that the rules were there all along. There could only be one, and her bet was on the good guy. Monsters die and heroes win. That was the way of the world. Connor agrees but reminds her that sometimes the monster comes back. As he looks at his reflection in the window, he sees Kurgan, now with him forever. Marvelous verdict. Whew, that was really something. The Kurgan's childhood and tragic younger years reveal the trauma that made the villain. He was forced to be the best, forced to be a conqueror to live. But Connor's dilemma now that he lives with the essence of so many immortals is also interesting, as now he has countless memories in his mortal self. I wouldn't mind reading a comic exploring Connor adapting to normal life. I loved the comic. The story was very engrossing, but the art could have been better. I definitely would have loved it more if the Kurgan resembled Clancy Brown. What did you think of the comic book series? Let us know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, you know the drill. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll meet again with more awesome stuff, but until then, goodbye.